Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Lattice Football Forum with me, David Bradley.
And him, Matt Dean.
Curveball.
I know, he threw me there.
Hope you're all tickety-boo after what has been another great week for the Latics.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, we've really had to fire ourselves up for this, haven't we?
No, I don't think it's over yet, personally. 3 games, 3 wins, no problem.
Well, you're dealing in the land of theory, because in theory,
I
mean, three wins might not be enough.
It'd be fine.
Because Barrow and Shez, they're on winning.
In Shez, I trust.
Anyway, let's not talk about football just yet. It's depressing.
Yeah.
Have you got anything else to talk about? Because it is a football forum after all.
Well, how was your bank holiday?
It was just football related. There's nothing else to talk about, really.
Football related.
Yeah. Northampton Friday.
Yeah.
That went well. Lost 2-0.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah. And then Monday went to Forest Green.
What did you do Saturday and Sunday?
Go
Craig David on me. On Monday.
Took her for a drink on Tuesday.
Got beat by Northampton on Friday. Cried on Saturday and Sunday. And
I made love to Forest Green on Monday.
Yeah, I'm going to say something really rude there.
Remember where you are.
Yes,
Remember where you are.
And the time, yeah.
We saw each other down at Forest Green. I bumped into lots of Detroit Latics down there. There was a contingent over from America who'd been at the Northampton game, and then they were at Forest Green on Monday, and there was some Australian that I met there as well.
Yeah, was he called Gaz? I met him as well. He had an orange shirt on.
He had the hat and corks.
No.
Dangling off.
The crocodile.
And the crocodile under his arm, yeah.
And some crocodile teeth and snake skin.
No, he was actually wearing a Tangerine Latics.
Yeah, I met that guy. Yeah. I think it was called Carl or Gaz. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. Well, yeah, I mean, it was a good turnout, wasn't it?
Yeah, 400.
It was hard to tell because it was like a long stand and quite shallow seat standing.
Yeah.
And it had no roof. The atmosphere was... You just can't generate an atmosphere when there's no roof, can you?
No, it was I thought it was a primary school, the ground, when I parked up. I was like, oh, look at that school. And it was like, no, that's the ground. And my mate Danny was like, God, we thought it was a sports hall or something. But yeah, it was a long old drive, but thankfully there was no traffic. Did you get any traffic on the way down?
No, it was nice. Nice and easy there and back.
I thought it'd be a nightmare getting beat and then going back in all that traffic. It would have been...
I'll tell you what was a nightmare towards the end of the game. Getting mocked by Forest Green fans. That hurt. That
did it hurt you?
Yeah, it did. It stirred a little bit of rage in me, in where I wanted to get a bit angry towards them, but they're only doing what football fans are supposed to do by mocking us. That's fair enough.
You're going to get that angry in a port.
I got angry. I was like, but I don't think the anger was really directed towards them. I think I was more angry with the situation that we're in and all the frustration, because we're getting mocked by Forest Green Rovers, for goodness sake.
Yeah,
and they're top of the league. We're going down as far as they're concerned.
We're not going down yet. I mean, it's just stop with the negative. I'm not having this negative vibe.
I was going to wear black tonight.
Yeah, and I refused to go on. I actually demanded. I was going to walk off the show.
I was going to wear like Johnny Cash, the man in black, in perpetual mourning, in preparation for what I see as the inevitable now. I mean, I'll be there on Saturday. I've got my tramway ticket. I'm hope upon hope but we've watched enough of Latics this season. I think I've seen pretty much every game to know that we're going to massively struggle to get the points, aren't we?
I think you're being a bit hasty, a little bit hasty, because.
On what grounds, Dave? We've lost 9 of the last 11. How is that?
On what grounds?
Yeah. Well, but seriously though, we've lost 9 of the last 11, and I like to try and find the hope in things, but 9 in the last 11.
We need 7 points out of the last 3 games,
providing that Barrow.
Forget everyone else. 7 points. Just play for the pride now, and everything will fall into place. And in 3 weeks' time,
it's a kind of magic.
On our close season show, you'll be.
Magic.
Well, you know what you're going to have to call me if I get it right.
What?
Sir David of Hume.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did agree.
Yeah, you did.
That wasn't the original bet, though, but we're not saying what the original bet was.
No, best not. It is a family show.
Anyway, should we bring a guest in?
Yes, we have got.
We've got 3 in the green room quaffing champagne. Well, one of them.
Well, one of them's
an
not
orange.
because he's 10 and he's one of the elite young fans of Oldham Athletic. He's been back ever since Shez has come back, and he is called Ollie Marsden. Should we bring him in?
Well, we better do now that you've given him the big intro.
Yeah.
Ollie Marsden.
How you doing, mate?
Good, yeah.
Good. Welcome to the Lattice Football Phone-In.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who's got the better shirt?
You're allowed to say you.
Me.
They're the one with the blue one.
Oh, right. Sorry, Ollie. That's your 2 minutes of fame over. No, I'm joking, but you are wrong. I'm kidding. How do you think did you go to Northampton, mate?
Yeah. Disappointed.
Disappointed.
Yeah.
Did you really think we were going to win the game? Did you fancy us before it?
Not really, because they're top of the table and we're in a relegation battle.
Yeah, I know. See?
But do you think we'll stay up?
No. I want us to stay up, but I think we have very, very low chances of actually staying up. Very
low. Well, all right then. So the next 3 games then, we have got...
We have to win all of them, but it's going to be hard because it's, I think, Salford, Tranmere and Crawley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, so we have to win all of them, and then Stevenage and Barrow need to lose at least 2 of theirs. Both of them have got game in hand on us.
It's not over, Ollie.
They've got 4 games.
So
they've got a possible 12 points, whereas we've only got a possible 9, and they've both got 4 points extra than us already.
It's fine.
And Stevenage have got better goal difference than us, and so have Barrow.
Yeah. But anything can happen. Ever the optimist. So what's your thoughts been at the start of the season under Keith Curle? Then what did you think of that as Keith Curle was manager?
I only started going when Shez came in.
Right.
Yeah.
And with Shez,
we were even worse then, Ollie. So that's all you need to know, to be honest.
And Salim, it was even worse.
He's even worse under Salim, yeah.
But what do you think of John Sheridan's performance so far as manager? What are your thoughts?
I think without him, we wouldn't be where we are now. I mean, obviously we're still in a relegation battle, but when he joined, he gave us that boost and we won like a load of games in a row, and it kind of gave us, Yeah,
he brought a bit of hope and he brought the fans back.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a good thing. I mean, he was available earlier, so it would have been nicer if he'd have got in earlier, and if we'd been able to sign some players. We were unlucky with Mikey Fondop. He would have made a difference for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Luamba up top would have made a massive difference. You were saying on Saturday, weren't you, that we missed Hallam Hope?
I think so. I think we really missed him on Friday because he hassles players and then on like just chasing the ball down, the work that he does off the ball is it's not been muted enough by the fans. And when he doesn't play, I feel that we play a lot better with him because he just puts that pressure and doesn't give the defender space. Against Port Vale, he really put the defence under the cosh, and then lo and behold, he goes off, and we had nothing up front really after Hope went off. Did you go to Port Vale, Ollie?
No, but we watched it.
Right.
What's it like? You're 10, Ollie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was 10, Latics were just getting good, and they were just about to be brilliant. What's it like being a 10-year-old Latics fan these days?
It's very disappointing when you lose and you're pretty much in a bad mood for the rest of the day.
Do you have lots of friends who support City and United and stuff?
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, most of them support City.
And do you get a lot of stick for being a Latics fan?
Not a lot, because it's the local team, but
yeah,
I don't get a lot of stick for it. And I do have one friend that is an Oldham fan.
One. Just one friend. I've got one friend.
Just
You,
one.
I'm not your friend.
all right, we're not
I
friends.
just
so.
know you.
Okay, but I bet some of your friends feel a bit sorry for you. Is that right? You know, the City United fans. I bet they go, "Oh, poor Oldham," because I always get that off my mates at work. They go, "Oh, poor Oldham. Well done for supporting Oldham." Yeah. So,
We'd like to tell you it gets easier, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Which we might do though one day. I mean, we might win the National League. Well, we'll have to win it at some point,
we're
won't
gonna
we?
have to, aren't we? Yeah. Well, that's the only way to get it out. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So you've obviously not been very impressed. You've not been watching Latics until Shez came back in. You watched it against Northampton. Are you going to go to the game on Saturday against Salford?
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Do you
not
think there'll be
expecting much though.
no? Do you think there'll be a decent crowd and decent atmosphere, or do you think we're all just kind of a bit dejected now?
Decent crowd, but I think Salford will bring a lot. I remember my mum mentioning they have a really good striker as well that used to play for us.
Yeah, Matt Smith. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll bring very many, but they might bring more than they usually do.
Probably about 500, I'd say.
500, do you think?
I reckon.
Usually they bring about 5.
But they're in the playoffs, aren't they? So
yeah. Anyway, I tell you what. Do that thing about Miller time.
Oh yeah, it's Miller time.
There we go. Because we don't know anything about Salford apart from the fact they've got Matt Smith up front and they're owned by people who used to play for Man United and no one supports them.
An ex-manager of Oldham Athletic.
And their nickname's the Addicts. That's about it.
Amis.
See? The Addicts, that's Charlton, isn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, it don't matter. So what we thought was we'd bring somebody who did know something about Charlton because he follows
Salford.
Charlton.
Bobby Charlton.
Who are we playing?
Salford.
Swindon.
Salford.
Anyway, Graham Miller, come and save us, Graham, please.
Hi,
Save
Dave.
us
Hi,
from-
Matt.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. You okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. You follow teams in the region for BBC. You're a freelance
Yeah, that's correct.
journalist, aren't you? And you follow clubs in the Northwest, including Latics and Salford and Mactown and a few others. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Bit of Rochdale as well. So basically, Monday I was down at Forest Green with you guys. On Friday I was down at Bristol Rovers with Salford. So yeah, I've seen both of you in the last week.
So you cover all the glamorous teams in Greater Manchester then?
Very much so, yeah. Not much United, no City.
Nah, boring.
That's it, exactly.
So give us a little bit of I mean, obviously you've been listening to us there in the green room while you were quaffing champagne, listening to us talk about how Dave thinks that it's still possible. I don't think we've got enough in the tank. No. What kind of a Salford team are we coming up against? First of all, let's take it one game at a time on Saturday. What can we expect from them?
They're tight defensively. They play to their strengths. So what they've done, obviously, with Matt Smith coming into the side, they had Tom Elliott there at the start of the season. Matt Smith has come in basically to replace him. As you know, as you've seen Matt Smith, 7, 8, 9 years ago playing for the Latics, you know what his strengths are. You know he's 6'6". So certainly at Bristol Rovers on Friday, in the first half, Salford were getting down the flanks. They were getting lots of crosses into Matt Smith. He was winning almost everything in the air. What Rovers did in the second half, they tightened up on the wing backs, and basically Smith had no service at all. And that's really what the Latics have got to do on Saturday to stop that threat, because otherwise everything is going in the air to Matt Smith.
What about them launching balls from deep as opposed to rather than getting down the wings? Because presumably they were cutting off that supply chain down the wings. They were trying to launch it up from deep. How was that working out for them?
No, I think they couldn't do it from the defence. They were actually trying to use the midfield a bit more in the second half, but it didn't work. And they literally had no chances in the second half. Very, very few. They didn't create anything at all. But it was one of those matches where nothing really happened. We've all been to those matches where you're there for about 40 minutes and there's not been a shot on target. And it was almost one of those type of matches. And Bristol Rovers scored from one of their few attacks in the second half. And it was a good turn by the player. And he beat Tom King at the near post. And I personally thought maybe King should have had that. But, it was one of those games, the second half especially, it just almost passed me by because it was a bore. And there was very little going on. And, of course, then I go to Forest Green on Monday, and I see that first half.
Well, when you were when you were talking about Salford there, and the game at their place earlier on in the season, I had a ticket. I was supposed to be going, but I got COVID. You came to my house and took the tickets away, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I watched it on iFollow, And it was a dreadful game of football. It was just awful. Salford won 2-0 in the end. But I think it was Salim's first game in charge, wasn't it?
It was.
It was dreadful. And it was two really, really poor sides.
Yeah.
So have they just become a little bit more difficult to beat and they've just got a little bit more threat up front? Is that basically the difference between then and now?
I think it is, to be honest. But then if you look at Salford's results, well, certainly over Easter, they've only got 1 point over Easter out of the 6. And they've dropped back. And in fact, they're not even in the playoff places now. They're 3 points off it. So, I've got to be honest. Like I say, I've seen a fair bit of Salford over the season, and they're not a side that excites me. They don't play exciting football. And as I say, you know when you've got a player like Matt Smith in your side, you know what you're going to get. Obviously, they've got Brandon Thomas Asante beside him, so he's looking for the knockdowns, and he's quite a skillful little player. But he didn't really get into the game at all on Friday. So, but if you can nullify the threat of the crosses coming in to Matt Smith, then you've got a chance.
Ollie, do you know much about Salford City? Because as you were younger, they didn't really exist. Well, they existed, but they didn't exist in the football league, did they? And they're very new to it. Do you know much about them? Do you know any Salford fans?
No, not at all. No.
We couldn't find one, could we?
No, we couldn't find any to
couldn't find a Salford fan
on the podcast either. They're not really a club with much sort of heritage and support. I'm going to say it now, Graham. It's a vanity project by Neville and Scholes and all this lot. They can't possibly think that Salford City is going to be a sustainable project going forward. They're losing something like 91 grand a week. What's your take? I mean, that's my take on it. What's your take on it?
Well, the problem is with Salford is that they haven't got the crowd base. That's the thing. If you look at Latics, if Latics are, even at the moment, you're still getting 5, 6, 7,000 for a home match. But if you go to Salford, they're lucky if they get 2,000. And that's the problem. So they haven't really got the fan base there in the first place. So, there's talk of them moving away and moving to the AJ Bell Stadium. How are they going to work? They're not going to fill it, are they? That's the problem.
No, Sale Sharks can't even fill it, and they're only down the road. You know what I mean? And Salford City Reds get 2,000 a game. Salford City are based in Prestwich, 2 minutes round the corner from me. That it's just.
I mean, historically, they support Man United in that area.
Well, exactly,
that's just the way it is. So, I can't see it lasting. They're not going to get themselves up to the Championship and be able to sustain themselves. Imagine how much money they'd be losing in the Championship every season. So I can't see it myself. I see it as one of these things that's doomed to fail. But in the meantime, they're just going to. I mean, our record against them is abysmal.
At home, it's decent.
We haven't beat them at home. We've got 1 point, haven't we?
No, we beat them under Kuhl. We beat them. We beat them 2-1, didn't we?
Keeler done?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were winning 1-0 and we came back in the last 10 minutes and scored 2 during lockdown.
It's still pretty poor, though, isn't it?
And it's not. We've got a better home record than away record, so I'm confident we'll get something because I think they start to choke, don't they, at this part of the season as well, Salford. In terms of when the pressure's on, they start to sort of. Start to wobble. They have a bit of a wobble, and the pressure from above starts to come through the players, which is always nice to see.
Got a message for Ollie from
Jack Grealish.
Jack Grealish
/ Sam Garforth.
Hi, Oliver. Presumably, you know Jack Grealish, do you?
Yeah, he's a friend. Yeah.
Yeah. Thought you might do. Yeah, you got good stuff.
So, what do you think the score will be on Saturday, Ollie?
2-1 to either us or Salford.
The score
just on the fence there.
No, you do ask me for the score. Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Yeah. Graham, do you think Latics have got enough from what you've seen of Oldham and Salford? And where's this game? I mean, you probably alluded to it already with Matt Smith, but where because Pierre Gianni's out.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was going to ask you do you think this game might be won and lost?
Well, first of all, on Pierre Gianni, I was going to say, I think the club missed a trick on Pierre Gianni. They should have appealed for the send it off on Friday because he was going to be suspended for 3 matches, or he's suspended for 3 matches. And what's the point? You might as well appeal. At least he would have been playing on Monday. So I don't see the logic in not actually appealing against the red card. And I know they're saying, well, it could have been 4 matches. But you know what? One of those matches would have been next season. Who knows where Pitcher's going to be playing next season? So that's the thing. But if you're looking at Saturday, I think that with both sides desperate for for points from the match, because obviously Salford, as I say, they're 3 points off the playoffs. I can see it heading towards a draw personally.
A score draw or a ball draw?
There won't be many goals. I'll tell you that. I would say probably a 0-0 or a 1-1. If you want to, if you think of that.
Mr. My friend Mr. Metcalf here is going for a comprehensive away win.
Get rid of that comment.
Well, I mean, it's the fans' football phone,
I'm only joking.
And I would imagine if we was to do a poll, it would weigh heavily in favour of a Salford win.
Yeah, I'm just the eternal optimist. I need to, I just can't even bear the thought of us going down at this moment in time. Let's just see what happens on Saturday. I think it's not over yet. With 3 games to go, there's a lot that can change.
Yeah, I mean, there's part of me that is visualizing and sort of fantasizing about that last
minute
day survive. Where everything goes. It goes down to the last day, and it looks like we're not going to win, and then Barrow concede in the last minute, and we score in the last minute, and then it all just changes around, and it's just amazing. We stay up, and obviously that's what you want, but I mean that is just is Fantasyland, isn't it? It's those kind of things only happen every now and again. That it's like Redfern's penalty, winning in the last minute of injury time at Boundary Park to win the second division title. These things don't come around very often. It just doesn't happen, does it? I mean, actually, that's while we're talking about just that kind of like Macclesfield is not a fairy tale by any stretch of the imagination, but what's happened at Macclesfield is they've obviously turned it around. A lot of us will have seen the documentary. What happened to them initially was obviously, not something that we want to happen to any football club. But how do you see the parallels, Graham, between what potentially might happen at Latics, what happened at Macclesfield, and Latics' ability to bounce back? Not that Macclesfield have bounced back yet, but they seem to be going, making good progress towards achieving that goal, getting back in the football league.
The thing is, though, you've got to remember that Macclesfield have started in the North West Counties League.
Yeah. I know it's a long, long way away.
It's a long way. So,
yeah,
they've been promoted. They're going to go into the Northern Prem Division 1. And then they've still got to get through the Northern Prem Premier, then into the National League North, then National League. So they've got a long, long way to go.
And presumably they're far better funded and far better organised, and from what we can gather, the supporter base and the infrastructure at the club looks pretty good. So presumably they've got a really, really good chance of breezing through, a little bit like Rangers did when they got relegated down in just kind of like cruise their way back up. So you might expect that they might do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would take time. I think that they've won this division this season by quite a few points, but it won't be as easy as that. And we know, I mean, if you take a step back and you look at, say, Oldham, and at the moment we obviously don't know what division Oldham are going to be playing in next season. We all hope it's going to be in League 2. But if it is the National League, you only have to look at all the teams in the National League that were former Football League teams, and how long it's taken some of those to get out of the National League. It's a tough division. It really is. And that's going to be the toughest thing, getting out of that in the first place. What you've got to make sure is you don't go out of it going down rather than going up. It's going to be a tough haul. And the other thing I was going to say is that, it was one that I was alluding to on Monday at Forest Green, was that of the players that are at Boundary Park at the moment, how many of those do you want to keep?
Yeah.
Think about that. There aren't many, are there? I can only think of 2 or 3 personally. That
2, if that.
And this is it. And that's the problem. So it's going to be a huge rebuilding job, whoever is in charge next season.
Which costs money, which is another thing. Do we have the finances to do it? And
but then you've got the takeover, and what happens there?
Well, yeah.
Then we're on another subject, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Stockport, they went down again, didn't they? And they're only just finally about to...
Yeah, 9 years ago yesterday, they went down to the National League North at Kidderminster away. And, it was a long goal spell back. I went to one of the games against Chorley, when Chorley and them a couple of seasons ago, when they were going up to the National League. And the transformation, having a new owner, it's been amazing for Stockport.
But there's been a lot of hard work had to go into that.
Yeah. yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, they went part-time, then they went full-time, then they didn't have a ground, and they were going to.
Yeah.
Just
I think
horror
that's
stories.
the thing. Like, I think we've got to realise that if we go down, even when we go down, just how much hard work there's going to be ahead of us, and our support and how much this club means to us is going to be tested.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be hard for kids like Ollie, who are going to be watching an even worse standard of football. If you can imagine this, Ollie, than you've been used to. You know, I mean, I've seen some pictures of you when you've been going to Latics a long time, haven't you? Because I've seen pictures your mum's put up on social media of you when you were little.
I went to games when I was little. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is the best game you ever went to? What's your best memory at Latics?
Scunthorpe away was really good.
This season?
Yeah, this season.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it? It really was.
Yeah.
It felt like there was hope back then, didn't it? Felt like we might.
After we'd been on that winning streak, when we'd won about 6 games in a row. I felt like we're staying in the leagues, we're going to smash this, but then Carlisle happened, and then I think it was Crawley and Walsall, and then I just started to lose hope.
Well, we had those late goals that we gave away. Yeah. We've also conceded 3. We've also been awarded 3 penalties which we've missed, like we did on Saturday against Forest Green. I mean, if you're an omens person and you're looking out for the omens, they're not good, are they?
Well, they've got to turn sometime, and these last 3 games we're going to see it all turn. It'll be all fine.
Shall we bring Damien in? Because he's been very patient, hasn't he?
He's
probably bladdered on that free champagne now.
Yeah. Hey, Damien.
Good afternoon, boys. You all right?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Having a nice listen.
What do you make of what you've heard so far? Please be polite.
So some may agree. I still don't think we're going down. I think we need 7 points to stay up.
See? Told you.
Okay.
2 at home and 1 away. Reminds us when we stayed in Premier League. But we need to turn them into, they're not FA Cup finals, they're World Cup finals, they're whatever we need to be. We need to make it as hostile as possible for the opposition and as very playable for our own players without getting on the backs and jumping on them, which we did at Forest Green, every shouting left, right and centre. I know it's hard, I know it's tough, but it's what we need to do, and that's what happened in 93 when we had Villa, Liverpool, Southampton, when Matt Letizia decided to turn up and do what he did and nearly kill us all. But we've still got a chance. It's been hanging this season for everyone, and we've still got to believe that we've got a chance. It's going to be hard, and we need to change what's happening on the pitch, because the way that they do it is the way that they're doing it at the moment, where they don't tackle, they don't. I'd rather have 8 yellow cards a game and be a dirty team and win 1-0 than stand off someone like we did on Saturday, letting cross the ball to a 6'5" centre forward, because that's what will happen at weekend. Unless Clark and Harper snapping into tackles on these wingers, Matt Smith's going to fill his boots.
Yeah, I think, as you say, suspensions now are out the window, aren't they? There's 3 games left. There's not many of that back 4 that are going to accumulate a ban for getting 5 yellow cards, because they've already
exactly.
So they've got to put some. They've got to leave a bit in, haven't they?
Yeah, stick a foot in, leave a tackle.
Graham, have you seen Barrow since Phil Brown came in? I know they played Salford recently, but I saw some highlights of them playing against Port Vale, and that seemed to be what Phil Brown has instilled into them, that they need to be as nasty as they need to be and waste as much time as they need to and do what needs to be done to stay in the division. And it seems to me that that the characters on our team can't, that's not them. It doesn't seem, does it?
No, I mean, I haven't seen Barrow play, to be honest. I mean, obviously we all saw the score on Friday when they beat Forest Green 4-0, which I think shocked everyone, really. No one saw that one coming. And I was hoping that the Latics might get something out of Forest Green on Monday, but you could see that Forest Green were, they weren't going to stand for any nonsense. They they took the game to the Latics straight away from the off, didn't they, on Monday? And really, they should have been more than 2 up at half time. But
in the second half, did you not think that, other than the penalty miss, I thought they were in the game, as Shez said, I thought they played, they had the more dominance and they just didn't have the final product, did they? That was the only issue. If they had some...
Forest Green sat back a bit more in the second half, and the Latics took the game to them. But then when you get the situation with Missalou with a penalty, and, you know, to this day, I haven't got a clue why he took it. And even, you know, it amazed me when I heard John Sheridan talk afterwards, and he said that he literally wanted to take the ball off him. He wanted to run on the pitch and take the ball off him. I'm just thinking, well, where's the leadership on the pitch there? Because someone, you know, a McGowan, Kilo Dunn, Nicky Adams was on the pitch at the time as well. One of those should have just grabbed the ball from him. But there isn't.
It's not there, Graham. Like,
no, I know.
Forest Green was like one of those. I don't usually get that close to the pitch. I usually sit a bit further back in the stand, and to be so close to the pitch, to be able to hear the players, or in this case, not hear the players, it was very telling that there just isn't that. There isn't that steel. There isn't the characters in that team. I saw Keeler Dunn getting frustrated and running and chasing things, but there's nobody in there like rollicking each other, and there's no aggression.
It was about 70 minutes. And did you know, I won't repeat what Jordan Clark said word for word, but he said, because he shouted at Keeler Dunn and Dylan Barnbull, he went, Dylan Davis, if you're not in the effing box, we're not going to effing score. And he shouted that, and I could hear it, and they just both looked at him like and just shook their heads, and it was like, oh, and that's the problem. I don't think they've got this proper leader, or they've got no desire to get in the box, or they've got no nous. They haven't got any.
I think once you go past the back four, where you've got Danny Rogers, who I think is a character, and you've got Jordan Clark, who you say you've got a bit of something about him. McGay's got a bit of something about him. Sam Arts doesn't. I don't think he's particularly vocal, but he's elite. You know, he's aggressive. He's aggressive in his play. Once you get past the defense, there's nothing. I mean, Dylan Bahambula went off again.
He ran off the fastest he ran when he ran off the pitch.
He couldn't wait to get off. No. There's just nothing there at all. And
I don't know if you guys noticed, but we were obviously on the other side of the pitch. We were on the side of the pitch where obviously Sheridan was. But when Dylan came off, there was no shake of the hands between him and John Sheridan. There was not even a glance between the two of them. So, you know, and then, of course, we know that Dylan he wasn't in the squad for the last 3 matches. So you just wonder what's been going on. And the Latics only had six subs named on Friday. So why wasn't Bahambula on the bench?
I'll tell you what, with Sheridan, Dylan Bahambula, with the way that I perceive his attitude to be, would have to be he'd have to be Chris Waddle for Sheridan to sort of take to him. His ability would have to be seriously good, because that's not what Sheridan needs right now. He needs attitude, and like you was like saying before, Damien, he needs those committed players that are going to give everything and put it all on the line and be prepared to lose a limb if need be. And I think we've got comments from somebody here, and it's from Danny Minton. None of the players seems to care enough to pull off anything spectacular, but why would their contracts have probably already been agreed elsewhere for next season? Like, it is very much about professional pride and their own personal pride in this, and also doing it for those fans that have been turning up. You mentioned the attendances, Graham, earlier on, and people like you, Ollie, have been coming back to the ground for the first time in ages, wanting to see a team inspired by John Sheridan, giving it their all. And we've seen it in glimpses, haven't we? But we just haven't seen enough of it.
No.
Well, I've just had a message off your mum, Ollie, to say, can you be excused? So I would just want to say thank you very much for coming on the show, and you've been a delight, and thanks for your input. But I hope you're wrong about us going down. I really am. And hopefully we can get you on soon at the closed season shows to say you were wrong and I was right. But if we do go down, we'll get you on anyway, and you can say I was wrong and you were right. But thank you very much, mate. It's been a real pleasure. You've been a delight. Thank you.
Thanks. Cheers, Ollie. That seems like a good time to bring Martin in.
Yeah.
1 in, 1 out.
It's 1 in, 1 out with that popular.
It's a busy club, this.
Martin.
How are we doing? You all right, gents?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, well, not too bad considering. I'm a fan of the eternal optimism that's going on this evening, I have to say.
Just bring positive vibes if you're going on
Yeah.
Saturday. Don't want any negativity. If they misplace a pass, so what? If they score an own goal, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But just keep the positive vibes. We need to be on the referee's back. We need to be on the players' backs in a good way, encouraging. We need the Atleticos singing. We just need to be questioning every decision.
There's nothing we can do now, Dave.
There's
because
always,
we've been doing it for weeks and weeks and weeks because we were crap before the fans came back.
Yeah.
And we were losing games. Then the fans came back and we're still losing. We lost 9
but
out of the
we
last
had
11.
a spell of winning it, but when we start with that Carlisle game,
You will win games in League Two because it's rubbish.
It completely deflated us, that Carlisle game. And it sort of had a knock-on effect. Swindon was unlucky, the last-minute goal.
These goals aren't unlucky, Dave. They're switching off. It's poor. It's what poor teams do. They concede late goals. Good teams don't concede late goals.
Can we keep it positive?
What? No, I'm not. Let's keep it realistic.
Yeah, but realistic. Yeah, I know realism is great. It's great realism, but that's why some people go to the football to escape the mundane, realistic life that we all live.
Not Latics fans.
No, well, I'm sorry.
It's worse going to the football when you're a Latics fan.
I want people to be positive, and if you don't want to be positive and you want to disagree,
when we get in the ground on Saturday, I think the fans always turn up and get behind. And they
Northampton they didn't.
It's hard though.
It is. I know it is, but
I've stood next to you, Dave, in the recent matches, and you've been screaming abuse at players on the pitch.
Yeah,
right.
Positive abuse.
No positive abuse.
Positive abuse to get them going and get them.
You're worse than Boris Johnson, you are. Mixed messages.
9 minutes of positive abuse.
Martin, you wrote down on your fingers. Probably, I don't know if they're recovered yet, but you put a piece out. I re-put it out on the OAFC podcast blog. You had you said goodbye, didn't you, to the Football League basically, and now we've got Damien. So don't say this to us. Say this to Damien, and when you finish, Damien can come in because it's kind of like two sides of the same coin here. Damien's still holding out, a bit like me and him here, really. But Damien's still holding out that we can do this, and you've said goodbye. So, just tell us why that is.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to believe. Don't get me wrong, I really do. And I am usually an optimist. But what killed it for me was watching on Good Friday, and the Easter weekend, generally speaking. So, I mean, I watched on Good Friday. Obviously 2-0 defeat followed by Piergiani getting sent off was the last straw really for me. And then I woke up Saturday and I thought really, really, really down. I need to get my thoughts down on paper. So it was therapy more than anything else. I'll be honest. Just reliving good memories. Latics, like all of us, Latics has been a hugely significant part of my life for 3 decades. I'm 37 now. First game was when I was 7 years old, and it just felt like it felt like the end of the Football League for me on Friday. Foolishly, I watched online on Monday as well, and just it angered me more. So I'm still in the grief cycle. I'm still firmly at stage 2. I'm in the angry phase still. But getting it down on paper, like I said, helped me on Saturday. It really did. And it made me realise what fond memories I've got of the club over the last 30 years. So, yeah, that's why I felt the need to kind of put that epitaph together and say goodbye.
What's your thoughts on that, Damien?
Well, I read it. It was very, very honest. And all the way through, looking at it all, thinking, we've always been this bad, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? But we've always had to keep the faith that we've always had there. And to be honest, we don't affect between 3 and 5 o'clock. That is down to the players. And all we've got to do is to support them the best we can. I honestly believe that 7 points will keep us up. I said it before Easter. I've said it since. And I know it's out of our hands at the moment. Obviously, next Tuesday will be a big night. Everyone watching the scores come rolling in, keeping an eye on the 2 games in hand that the other 2 have got. But, I firmly believe that if we get a win on Saturday and the other 2 lose and it gets back to a point, all of a sudden there's a different spin on it then. And them 2 will be looking at us and we're the ones that need that. Yeah, we've got tough places to go, but we've been Tranmere before. we have the backing, and I hope that we score early. I hope that we put the pressure on, and we need to get back to something that Kewell brought in, which was shoot on sight. I don't understand why that's disappeared, because we conceded 450,000 goals, but scored probably the same going the other way. When we've shot from anywhere within 30 yards, these keepers are absolutely rubbish. Keeler Dunn's goal this season.
You know what? Robin here is totally agrees with you there. And as you were talking, when you were saying about that, then even I was starting to just because you have to, don't you? And you feeling, yeah, because that might happen. And I think you said, Martin, we all want to believe that, don't we? We do all want it. And come Saturday tea time, it could look different for sure.
Or we could be gone. Who
knows?
knows?
We could be
gone.
Change
it.
No.
Yeah. We don't change that bit in the middle. We just change what we do. So we support them. We give everything. If the Atleticos are in there before they even warm up and they're all singing, watch the difference in the players zipping the ball about.
So I could jump in. Northampton, realistically, do a fifth at the time, third, fourth, do around there. We got beat off them. We're second bottom. Go to Forest Green, they're first. We're second bottom. Now, if anyone's expecting 6 points out of that game, or even 3 at a push, I appreciate it was a home game, but I just walked away from it and said, you know what? If it was midway through the season, we probably would have got beat. So it's not the end of the world. But we got beasted for this, didn't we, by saying that Salford was a derby. And it is a derby. I don't care what any say on Twitter. Geographically, it's a derby because it is near us, and it's northwest, and there's about there's 6-7 miles away.
It's the second closest ground to Boundary Park.
Exactly. So it's a derby. So anyone on Twitter who wants to have an argument, speak to Matt, not me, because it was Matt who put it was a derby.
No, it wasn't. It was you.
No, it wasn't me. No, it was me. It's a derby. Tranmere is Liverpool versus, Manchester.
Salford is a Greater Manchester derby. Yeah. Tranmere and Oldham is a rivalry. Yeah. It's a derby with a rivalry. There's a difference. None of us care about Salford City in terms of there's no historic relevance to that fixture.
With these two games, we should be expecting we should be expecting 6 points because they've got more to them. They've got more bite. They've got more passion from the fans. Now, don't get me wrong. I would have loved to beat Northampton. I would have loved to beat Forest Green. But if we don't show anything in these two games, then, I'll have to agree to say we're gone. But we have to show something for the fans. Now, I don't know if Shez has been saving the players for that, or the players need to kick up the backside after Forest Green to say, look, you can't go out and have, was it 5 shots on target? I don't even know where that came from, apart from that goalmouth scramble in the first half. But they need to really start showing something for these next two games, because if we don't get anything out of them or even a point out of both of them, I think we are going to be in trouble, but we're not gone.
Let's bring in our objective, non-emotional
BBC
caller here, because all of us are very, very emotionally invested in it. We have to believe somewhere down in within our depths that there is hope. When you listen to all this, do you just hear what do you hear actually? What do you hear, Graham, when you listen to us talking?
I think you've got to be realistic. And my issue is, and we're talking about the goalmouth scramble on Monday. Did you realise that in Monday's team sheet, there were only 2 players on that team sheet that have scored over 2 goals this season? It was only Bambula and Kilo Dunn. They're the only 2 players who've scored over 2 goals this season. And this is where the other issue, obviously, now we know that probably Bambula's not going to be starting on the Saturday. Now, whether Hallam Hope will be back, I don't know. But where the goal's going to come from? If it's not from Kilo Dunn, who else is going to score? And that's a big issue, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, even when we get penalties, we don't capitalise. So.
Yeah, don't even get it on target. So, but it's just that's one of the biggest issues as far as I'm concerned. First of all, making the chances. Number 2, having a shot. But number 3, getting it in the back of the net. And who's going to do that? And Keelan Dunn obviously had that huge run, earlier on this year when he scored in goodness knows how many games in a row. but that obviously is sort of that's stopped, so that's dried up now. So where are the goals going to come from? But the other thing I was going to say, to give you guys a bit of hope, I was just having a look at the other fixtures that Stevenage have got and Barrow have got as well, and most of the teams they're playing are teams that need points. They're playing teams that are obviously going for promotion or going for the playoffs. So, you know, if you look at Barrow as a good example, they've got Sutton, Exeter, Swindon, Northampton. You look at Stevenage and they've got Tranmere, they've got Mansfield, they've got Carlisle, then they've got Salford. So both of them have got 2 or 3 teams that are pushing for the playoffs. And yeah, I know that obviously the Latics have got Salford on Saturday, but then Tranmere and Crawley are 2 teams who really should be on the beach, shouldn't they? So
Tranmere is still in the hunt, aren't they?
Still in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, they're still there.
Yeah,
but, you know,
yeah.
But I'm trying to give you guys a bit of hope. That's what I'm.
Shut up, Matt.
trying to be positive. So
it's going to be really tough. And like
It's
you
gonna
know,
be
like
tough.
you've just read out, it's tough for all those. It's tough for all the teams, and it's all down to now which team has, or which teams, because there's 3 teams in it. Which 2 of those teams have got the most character? And who and you know, it's actually, when you look at the managers, Phil Brown, they're all quite well-known managers with good reputations in the game. Phil Brown, well, mixed reputations in the game, but they've all done well at various points. Phil Brown, Steve Evans, and John Sheridan. And you know, if you wanted to mould any of them in the image of the manager, you'd want them in sheds. You'd want that steel with that bit of class, you know, as a footballer. That's what Sheridan was all about. But it seems like Stevenage players and Barrow players are able to deliver what their managers want easier than what Sheridan wants. That seems to be in recent games, in recent form. I mean, I know we beat Stevenage, but that was that his first game or second game under
that was his,
Evans?
that was his second game. It was his first home match.
Yeah. And they did murder us, to be fair.
Yeah,
like
battered us,
we
didn't they?
were lucky to come away with the points, and since then they've obviously improved. So,
But they were poor. Stevenage were poor on the day, weren't they, against the Latics?
Yeah, it was shocking.
yeah, they were. But
Yeah.
we were worse because I mean we didn't have. I think we had 1 shot on target, and
Yeah, it was
then the rest of the game.
Sides.
Yeah,
it was 2 poor sides
exactly,
on the day.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, say both Stevenage and Barrow getting the 4 points over Easter, and both of them getting the points from matches that we probably didn't expect them to get the points from. That's been the stumbling block. Really? If they'd have only got 1, then it wouldn't be such a big deal. There'd only be 1 point between the Latics and the 2 of them. But it's that 4-point gap is the issue, isn't it?
But Stevenage banker was Saturday when they played Scunthorpe. Bottom of league, they were banking on 3 points there. They got 1.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
So
right.
you don't know how their week's been this week now. Now their bankers disappeared. They've got to play big teams who've still got stuff to fight for. But they've been banking on playing bottom of the league, who was dead and buried, really, without sounding funny. And they picked up a point.
Yeah, true.
I think to pick up on a couple of things that you fellas have said. I mean, Dave was essentially talking about fight there before. You know, all we want to see on the pitch is fight. You know, when I think back to the last, you know, however many years I've seen Latics, one of my favourite players was Paul Warne, and Paul Warne wasn't, you know, one of the most gifted footballers, but he chased absolutely everything. You know, he left everything out on that pitch. So you want to see that, but the thing that's lacked for us all season has been quality. We just haven't got the quality within the squad. And you look at it, you know, watching that game against Forest Green, I know you said the top of the table, Dave, but for me, in League Two, anybody can beat anybody. But on Monday, there were times when we couldn't find a pass. We just couldn't pick a pass.
That's the thing.
But did you think the early goal deflated us a bit? It knocked the sails out.
It came from poor play, didn't it? It came from McGowan giving the ball away. And being that close to the action on Monday, it was, some of the passing was just abysmal. And it's not just the passing, it's the movement. Like the players do not show in the right spaces for each other. Their awareness when they haven't got the ball is as poor as when they have got the ball. And their ability to make simple passes is just not good enough. You're absolutely spot on that, and it's just a distinct lack of quality through that team. And look, when worst case scenario, it's going to be we're going to be talking about why We know why. It's recruitment, and we know why we've got poor recruitment. So, you know, the people have been pointing the finger at Sheridan in recent, because Sheridan's results haven't been great. Let's have it straight. But I mean, look at what he's got to work with and how difficult it is.
I
think he's done his
dead and buried.
I think so. We would have been. If Salim had carried on, we would have been absolutely gone. There's no two ways about it. I think it's one of the points that's been buzzing around in my head, Martin, that I wanted to raise really was about you were talking about the sort of the obituary, really. I mean, it's to the Football League, because Latics is not going in. Well,
No,
fingers crossed.
You hope not. Yeah.
Hopefully, worst case scenario, we go into the National League and we have to start again next season. You know, our budget's been slashed. Our income's going to be slashed from TV. You know, we don't get the Premier League solidarity payments. We get some TV money, but that halves again the following season and then basically disappears the season after. If we are going to get out of the National League, it has to be next season without some serious investment or a change of ownership, which obviously a change of ownership is. But the football club continues, but it's, I mean, if we think it's hard now, I mean, we've not been able to build a team for League Two. Maybe one of the points that you raised, Graham, earlier on, that we don't have any players that we would keep.
Mm.
We don't need them anyway, because we need a National League team.
Yeah.
We need big players who are used to playing in the National League. I mean, the difference on Saturday was what's it called, Jamil Matt?
Yeah.
Up front. I mean, a proper athlete, a huge human being. Massive, tall, strong, athletic. Obviously, you would have wanted Pidge up against him, but he wasn't there. But he made all the difference. That athleticism made all the difference.
Yeah,
and a good football as well, decent football, you know. But it's just his presence was just a massive handful. And we've been bullied every season we've been in League Two, haven't we? Because we haven't had League Two physicality. So, when it comes to recruitment, unless we get somebody in who knows the National League in charge of recruitment next season, we're going to be doomed. And I wouldn't be surprised if we were in exactly the same position this time next season under the current owners at the bottom of the league, because recruitment has not matched what has been needed, and that's just a fact.
Yeah, you're dead right. I mean, you know, you look at McGowan, how he played. Certainly the first half on Monday at Forest Green, he was all at sea, wasn't he? You know, he gave the ball away for the first goal. The second goal with a player it was Matt, wasn't it? Who got away from between him and Sutton, and there was a lack of understanding. It was just, you know, I was saying this on Monday. There was a lack of understanding between players in the centre of the park. I thought, you know, you said about the passes going astray. It was just a mess, wasn't it? I thought the whole play was a mess. Yeah, the other thing, so just going back to what I said about earlier on, talking about the penalty and Misilu. What also surprised me, actually, I don't know if you heard the comments by Shez afterwards. He actually said about Misilu that he doesn't take part in finishing practice. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that. I would have thought every player, certainly any midfielder, should be taking part in midfield in finishing, because at the end of the day, the ball is going to come to them, and they are going to, you'd hope to have a shot from outside the box or from 20 yards. And so I couldn't believe that what he actually said, that Misilu doesn't take part in finishing.
He only ventures forward reluctantly, though. You can see it in his play. He wants to just hang back but you're right, because the midfield players should be prepared. And that's part of the problem with him and Whelan, is that they're not prepared to bust a gut and get up front and get in the box and commit bodies into the box. You were saying about Clark saying when we it's always the same, but when you hark back to the Royal era, but there were if you watch back on those games, those crosses that came in, if we didn't win the first ball, there was always 4, 5, 6 Latics players in and around the penalty area to mop up the pieces. You got bodies forward in numbers, you kept the pressure on, and you scored goals. You made mistakes, you forced corners, you got free kicks. With us, you've got 2 or 3, 1 or 2 players in and around the box. It's easy for the defence. It comes straight back up the other end. And it's just because you haven't got a midfield that supports the attack. And look, I mean, it's not going to change. None of that's going to change, I don't think, between now and Saturday and the rest of the season.
What did you think of Hopcutt being starting? That was my main.
Well,
I
it was easy.
started to question Shez after that.
It was the easiest decision of the half to take him off at half time. So I think he had one touch.
It was rubbish.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything.
But I mean, he'd scored the goal at Stevenage, hadn't he? And I suppose, you're thinking, well, maybe if he can get in the right place at the right time, he could get a goal. At the end of the day, Nicky Adams came on for him at half time. And I know Adams got a fair bit of stick for the crosses that he put in. Because I think people were saying, well, they were too deep, a lot of the crosses that he put in. But at least he was getting crosses in, which no one was doing in the first half. So at least
he was putting himself about. He was getting on the ball. Yeah. He was moving from the right to the left when it needed to be, and he was involving himself in the game. Yeah. Hopcutt doesn't involve himself in the game. He waits for the game to involve him, and that's the wrong way around.
But they're different type of players as well. You have to remember that Hopcutt is more of a forward, whereby Adams, is a wing back. Whether you call him a wing back or whether you call him a winger, is one of the two. But
you have to demand the ball, though. It doesn't matter what position you play. If you're not getting involved in the game, you have to go and, if you're a forward who's not getting the ball, go and demand it. Demand the ball and demand more of the players around you, and tell them what you expect. And that's the thing. That's the problem. We don't have that in-game management and those characters that are going to influence the game. They're all waiting to get back in at half time, speak to Shez and Tommy Wright telling them what to do in the second half, that rather than someone taking the game by the scruff of the neck and making something happen. And look, Damien, I sincerely hope that the squad are listening tonight, listening to this sage, magnificent footballing advice from these footballing gurus that we all are, and they're going to take this on board, and they're going to go, okay, boys, this is it now. 9 points.
Shoot on sight. Shoot on
3
sight.
wins out of 3.
Just shoot every time they get near the edge of the penalty area. Why don't you just have a pop? Just have a shot.
That's what we did under Kewell. You would shoot on sight. Bobby Grant, who was one of the worst footballers ever seen, scoring from 25 yards, and and then Keeler Dunn did it this season, where he got goal of the month. You just shoot.
We need shots if we're going to score, don't we? It is a basic fact. And I think, obviously, I'm mocking there. We're not in any way, shape, or form football gurus, but if any of the players are watching or listening, they have to believe in themselves. Believe in yourself. Because on your day, every single one of them, on your day, you're good enough to win that game, to pull together and win that game. They've got to believe that. They really have. Because it's down to them now. It's not down to, we'll turn up on Saturday and we'll be there at Tranmere and we'll sing. And please, if you're going to Tranmere, we have to just sing and give them as much stick as we possibly can, because other we can't just cower down. Whatever happens,
we can keep them out of the playoffs. Imagine us keeping them out of the playoffs.
We can play our bit for our own pride. We don't want this. What happened on Forest Green, where we're getting mocked. It's rubbish not having a roof and you can't make any noise. But on Saturday at Boundary Park, we've got roofs. We can make noise. At Tranmere in that away end, we've all heard it in that away end before when we make it rocking. Let's do ourselves proud, but fundamentally, those players have got to give it 110%, and they have to play for themselves, because most of them aren't going to be at Boundary Park next season. So you're playing for yourselves, lads. Don't leave anything out there. Get stuck in and just, give us half a chance.
Even in the first 5 minutes, a 50-50 tackle, go straight through someone, give away the free kick, whatever, that'll set the crowd off.
And unsettle them.
Just give us something. The crowd we will back you all day if you give us something.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah. So I think we've got to end it there. I think we've got to end it there, because that was as positive as it's been all night.
I've been positive all night.
I know, but
he has to be fair.
Collectively, I think we've all this. We're all like, we want it, don't we? We really, really want it. We really, really want it. And we'll have to deal with it. We'll have to deal with whatever happens. If we stay up, it's going to be not quite as amazing as that Great Escape in the Premier League, but it will be.
It'd be better.
I think
it'd be better, mate. If we stay up, it'd be better than the Great Escape in the Premier League.
It'd be more important, I think.
It'd be better
with these players.
It'd be better.
But either way, if things don't change next season, we're going to find ourselves in the same situation. So let's hope that at least we've got Football League status to hold on to. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Graham, thanks very much for coming on and giving your insight into Salford and Latics from a a less emotional point of view. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Graham. It's been a real
You're
pleasure.
welcome.
I've heard you on
Anytime.
I've heard you on GMR many a time. So yeah, big fan.
Thanks very much, mate.
Anytime, guys.
Thanks a lot. And Damien, I hope
Pleasure, mate.
that your optimism and that of fans like you is going to be enough to drag us through. Thanks very much for coming on.
Yeah.
Martin, I hope you got your therapy, but Football League remains. I hope
I have to write a new one. I'm more
I hope you
optimistic.
do, I know.
Well, yeah,
And
yeah.
let's hope for Abdallah out.
Talking of shirts, Martin, who's got the best shirt?
Oh, it's got to be you, Dave, hasn't it? The green from the Premier League era.
See.
I never had that shirt. You know, it was a
Long
third
sleeved
shirt,
as well.
wasn't it?
I was telling Dave before, my brother had it. Someone knits it off washing line
Yeah.
years ago.
What do you think, Damien? Best shirt?
I'm going, Matt.
Yeah.
Just.
Right. Well, I'm going Martin. So thanks very much, everybody. And we'll see you all soon. Thanks very much for joining us on the Latics Football Phone In. I'm going to find the outro. And
if you want to come on this show, please email laticsfootballphonein@gmail.com for next week to talk about our fabulous win against Salford.
all right. Stand up, Martin. The Latics Football Phone In is hosted by me, Matt Dean.
And Dave Bradley.
And is brought to you live every Thursday from 7 till 8 by the Boundary Park Alert System podcast.
Oldham's only weekly football podcast.
Out every Monday at 7 a.m. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
YouTube.com/the Boundary Park Alert System.
And follow us on Twitter.
At OAFC Phone In and OAFC Podcast.
We need you.
Yes, you.
On the show.
Email us at laticsfootballphonein@gmail.com.
To join us live next week. The show is available to stream on YouTube now. And it's all there.
Stats, facts, and super attacks.